Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs facing more time behind bars. His release date pushed back to June of 2028 instead of May of that same year.
We always knew Diddy had a dark side, someone who loved taking advantage of people. But if what Jaguar Wright is saying is true, he might be operating on a completely different level of depravity.
I don't know if that's even possible. Because if he was able to pull this off before he was a billionaire, look at what we got going on now. Derek replies, "This is illegal." And Sean Combs, Kim Elworthy are all behind this, and you're going to just sit there and let this happen, Your Honor. And the judge says, gotta pay the bills somehow.
You see, if Jaguar Wright is to be believed, Diddy once assaulted a man back in 1997, and the case even went to court, but it never made headlines. Why? Well, it turns out the government allegedly covered the case up to take the heat off Diddy. But why would they do that? What could they possibly gain from protecting a potential criminal? Why did they even get involved? And is there a chance Diddy was actually a federal informant who went rogue?
What you to do is they want you to hammer me, and they want you to pressure me, and they want you to try to put me in the grinder and see if I'll fall apart. And guess what? Welcome it. Please do.
That's exactly what we're going to talk about today, folks. Buckle up, because this is a big one. This reveal could even lead to Diddy's sentence being extended. And Jaguar Wright's life may be in danger because she's choosing to speak out about it. Jaguar began by explaining that everything was connected to a case from 1998 that most people had never even heard of. The paperwork, she said, told the story of a man named Derek Lee Cardello Smith, someone she claimed spent 28 years in prison for something he didn't do. According to her, his case was directly tied to Diddy. Jaguar claimed Derek was listed as the defendant in a case where he was accused of harming a man named Carl Bishop. She showed the table of contents of the case file and pointed out the names involved. But then she made an even bigger claim. She said the file also included documents listing Diddy as a suspect in a separate case involving both Derek and Carl. According to her, the file contained medical reports, an incident report, and other documents naming Diddy as someone involved in serious wrongdoing.
The incident report identifying Sean Combs as the assault suspect. Well, do you understand what that means?
Hey.
Do you understand what that means? What I'm holding right here in my hand in this device that I uploaded for protection of the records. See, while everybody was busy watching that sham of whatever that was supposed to be to make people think that that guy actually was finally handled up on in some way, shape, or form, God was busy making sure that these very real findings came to me. Do you see what I'm telling you?
No, definitely.
There's a great kick. And the diddler is the assailant. His DNA found inside a man.
She claimed the documents showed that Derek's case included evidence that was mishandled and that powerful people allegedly knew about it. She said the file suggested Derek was blamed for actions he didn't commit and that the real wrongdoing came from someone else, someone with influence.
And then Derek Cardello Smith said, "Your Honor, I want to say this much. My mother is going to have to hear me say lies. And then she's going to think that I'm this type of person that I'm not. I'm not this kind of man that you people are forcing me to be. I want it to be clear that you can say on the record that I am a man who defended a woman and myself, and that I am being framed for multiple crimes that I am innocent of, and you know it, and are still forcing me into this with your full knowledge. Are you man enough to say that on this court record, sir? And the judge's response is, I am more than man enough to say so. Everything you said, I adopt on the record as true. You are not a rapist. You have been framed. And it was all done on our approval, and most especially on the approval of Kim L. Worthy. Are you happy now? Derek responds, hopefully one day this will all come out. The judge says, not today. Take him.
She also claimed that she had uploaded the documents for her own protection in case anything happened to her copies. This is truly chilling. The fact that Derek may have been framed by the court and that Diddy was allegedly connected to it is disturbing. How has something like this been allowed to happen? What's worse is that you can clearly see Derek still trying to plead his innocence, and it's all for nothing.
Replies, this is illegal, and Sean Combs, Kim L. Worthy are all behind this, and you're going to just sit there and let this happen, Your Honor. And the judge says, gotta pay the bills somehow. And the witness, Kim L. Worthy, says, amen to that.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Damn. So, Jack, when you see the words "justice for Diddy," what does justice look like to you?
I don't know if that's even possible. Because if he was able to pull this off before he was a billionaire, look at what we got going on now. See, this is bigger than anything that any of us can talk about. This is in Detroit. Who would ever think that the diddler had action where he could move things around like this in Detroit? And we're talking all the way back in the 90s. And every time this man has been about to come up for parole, Kim Worthy goes and gets one of those great kits that she's been holding on to and just throws it on him. And he's back, he's got to stay in jail. You don't remember right after Diddy was taken into custody, that story that came out about the inmate that sued him for $100 million and won on a default judgment? Y'all don't remember hearing about that right after he was arrested?
Yeah, it was so many lawsuits, but yes, that was one of them.
Yeah, but it was the only lawsuit where you had heard somebody had actually won against him.
At one point, Jaguar Wright stated very clearly that the documents included DNA testing which linked Diddy to the case. And she emphasized that Diddy's name wasn't just mentioned, he was listed as a responsible party.
Yeah.
He was actually an investor in Bad Boy. And they've been keeping him monkeyed up in jail all of this time, so they ain't gotta pay him.
Yes, hell, I want to know what justice for Derek looks like right now. Jeez. Hell.
He's entitled to 49% of whatever Combs Enterprise has amassed in the past 30 years. Almost 30 years. That's what he's entitled to. He already won a $100 million judgment. See, this is what was going on in the background while whatever that foolishness we just watched happened. this was all going on in the background. It's starting to make you wonder if that trial happened to cover this up. Everything that they've done to ruin it so people would never believe a word that came out of his mouth. See, when you start here with these transcripts from 1998, which were sealed and then unsealed in 2007 and then sat there in the clerk's office and nobody knew about it because nobody knew to come and get it. Nobody knew where to get it. Different names on the same case number. They thought they were clever.
She then turned her attention to Diddy's legal team. She claimed that one of his lawyers, Mark Agnello, had been indirectly involved with Derek years earlier.
You sitting here talking to me about these weird old lawyers, including Mark Agnello. You wanna know what's funny? While Mark Agnello was sitting there making fun of baby oil and doing all of the stuff that he was doing in court and creating all of that nice guy hoopla, trying to get everyone to believe that Diddy is not such a terrible person and that he's a wonderful man and he deserves to go back to Madison Square Garden and he's gonna be right there to cheer him on. Do you wanna know where else he was? In Wayne County, negotiating with Derek Lee Cordello Smith.
Wow.
His victim.
Wow.
Why would he be in negotiations with him if he actually believed that everything that he said in that courtroom was true?
Sounds like a fixer.
Sounds like a fixer. A liar.
She said the same lawyer who recently defended Diddy in public was also meeting with Derek privately, as well as Diddy himself, who was allegedly using an alias in Wayne County in the past.
Diddy went to that jail to visit Derek his damn self in 2024.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Guess what name he was using to go to that jail to visit Derek so nobody would know it was him?
John Smith?
Brother Love.
Gosh. Damn.
What is clergy?
Damn. This is very wild. What made you?
Guess where he went? Just a couple of days before HSI raided all of his properties. Me. What do I think about the powers that be? What you want me to think?
Oh, wait. What made you find this rabbit hole to go down, and how many more rabbit holes do you believe there are?
Oh. See. I live in the rabbit hole. I don't believe in what everybody else believes in. I'm telling you something right now. When you got court officials that's sitting in court, they so brazen that they're actually threatening people.
That's very brazen.
Do you see how this is going to go?
For her, the story wasn't just about Diddy's sentencing. It was about a decade-long chain of events happening behind the scenes. But what does this mean for Diddy, especially now that this secret is out in the open? Well, it seems like the courts might already be considering extending Diddy's stay behind bars. According to several reputable media outlets,
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs facing more time behind bars. His release date pushed back to June of 2028 instead of May of that same year. The news coming after reports of Combs drinking in prison, something he denies, after he was accepted into a rehab program in prison that could have reduced his sentence by up to a year. He's also been accused of making a prohibited three-way phone call from prison.
That's right, Diddy is making phone calls from prison despite not being allowed to. What could possibly be so important that Diddy would risk angering the judges? Is it something that could harm him or his empire even more? Is there something he believes could still threaten his freedom?
So Combs' representative, Judah Engelmeyer, telling me by phone earlier today, Tom, that yes, a three-way call was made between one of Combs' lawyers, who did bring in another person on that call with Combs while he has been at Fort Dix, but that there was nothing improper about it. But again, that is not something that you were supposed to do at all. So those lawyers should have known better. As for drinking, he doubled down and said that Combs was not drinking and that, in fact, he's been admitted into this very specialized rehab program that Fort Dix offers is actually going to potentially lower his sentence.
Yeah.
He could be released earlier because of that. So they're saying he's done nothing wrong and that any reports that he has been drinking is completely not true.
Sarah, you know, after his trial, a lot of people said he got a legal victory. It looked like he was going to be on his way out in a couple of years. How far back does this set him now?
Well, we don't know yet, Tom, because you still have due process rights in prison, right? So there's going to be an incident report if he, in fact, was drinking or there's an allegation. Then he's going to go to hearing. And if he's found guilty of it, then there's going to be sanctions. The sanctions could be that he could essentially be thrown in the hole, the shoe, the special housing unit. He could lose his privileges, and he could lose at least a minimum of 40 days of time credits, which is big. And I want to say this. Drinking in a BOP facility is as serious as committing murder in a BOP facility.
Is it really?
Yeah. As of 2020, the BOP changed the rules and reclassified drinking as one of the most severe charges in custody. So this is really serious if he actually did it.
Possible penalties for Diddy currently include being sent to the special housing unit, known as the Hole, losing privileges, and losing at least 40 days of time credits, which would directly affect his release date. And what's really interesting here is that Mellis reported that Diddy has told people he is writing a book, something that may raise future legal concerns tied to New York's Son of Sam law, which prevents convicted individuals from profiting from the stories of their crimes.
Gosh, I mean, I don't know to what extent this is sort of this callous sort of thinking on his part, or he just is an addict.
And you were telling me today he's writing a book.
And he's writing a book, which could cause him more problems under the Son of Sam law in New York. If he's monetizing on his crime.
This is all absolutely terrible if true. I mean, Combs made such a big deal about wanting to go to Fort Dix.
Yeah.
He's trying to get out sooner than the 50 months in prison, Tom. The idea that he would be violating rules left and right within 2 weeks of getting there is really unfathomable after, again, listening to him cry and sob in front of the judge just recently saying, I want to do good, I'm sober, and I want to be released to go home to my family. So again, and like you said, President Trump, he doesn't like drinkers, okay? He doesn't drink himself. His brother was an alcoholic, and so he has very strong opinions about that. He's talked about it, and if Diddy's seeking a pardon from President Trump before the new year, this is not a good look.
Now, while Diddy has already lost a lot of money fighting this trial and dealing with all the bad PR surrounding it, it seems he may need to prepare for yet another battle, this time against his own children. According to the National Enquirer, people close to Diddy say his family is gearing up for a serious fight over his $400 million fortune. Insiders claim that his 7 kids are hiring lawyers because they want control of his money, and they're trying to take that power away from his 85-year-old mom, Janice, who is still sharp and tough. Back in March, stories emerged claiming the kids were spending big while Diddy was stuck inside Brooklyn's tough Metropolitan Detention Center without bail. And with Diddy behind bars, experts say he should consider protecting his assets before things get even messier. Still, people close to the family say Diddy's mother Janice, who raised him and his sister on her own after his father died in 1972, isn't the type to step aside quietly. They say she's tough as nails and won't let anyone push her out of the way when it comes to the fortune her son built. But Diddy's mother going after her own son's fortune makes no sense until you realize that Jaguar Wright has alleged that Janice Combs isn't actually his mother at all.
Did y'all see when they interviewed Dapper Dan about Diddy?
I haven't seen that one. Please.
They ran into Dapper Dan in Harlem and they asked him what he thought about what was going on with Diddy and if he knew Diddy. And I love Dapper Dan for this. He said, I grew up with his parents. He said, and what's going on with him has been going on long before him. Now, his father was a government snitch and a bad actor in the criminal world altogether. But there's whispers in the streets of Harlem that Diddy's mother isn't alive. Not his biological mother, but that woman is his aunt.
Whoa.
There are whispers.
Wait a minute.
There are whispers.
So for Janice, this may be one of her last and best opportunities to get her hands on a serious amount of money, especially now that she's 85 years old. In fact, this is something Boozy claimed Cassie and her husband were also trying to do to Diddy.
Cassie left Diddy and became an independent, entity. Did you reach out to Cassie to get a hook on one of your songs?
No.
Was there a bidding war over Cassie after she left Bad Boy?
No.
Because Cassie is not talented as a singer. She isn't. She had one song that her boyfriend wrote for her, and that was it. And I know the guy who was the head of marketing at Bad Boy during the whole time Cassie was there. And he said, and this is my friend, he said every time, because Diddy would have her in the studio all the time. Songs with Kid Cudi, who she ended up with afterwards, songs with Ghostface, all types of collabs. Those are not free. Think Kid Cudi's just doing a verse for Cassie for free? That's probably $200,000. Every song.
Put a press down,
listen.
bro.
I just want to say this. Every time Cassie would go to the studio and put together a song, they pushed those songs just as hard as every other artist on Bad Boy. The people just didn't take to them. She was a pretty face that was fucking the boss.
And got to living with her mama with her boyfriend.
Right.
Couldn't f in that house. You can't f at your mama's house. You cannot. That's it, you at your Lord. I done f at my mama house. You cannot fuck. You cannot. Like, you be like, man, you be like real Like, I ain't breaking no bed. I ain't trying to go too hard at my mama house. Like, that's your lowest. You gotta walk in that kid. What you do when you wake up? You gotta walk. You gotta look out before you walk out. You can't walk out with your box. You don't want your hanging out. Real you at your lowest.
Yeah.
They was at their lowest and they devised a plan.
I agree.
Bruh, they devised a plan. When you go to your mama with your man, you take, and you the man at the girl mama house. That's even worse. You not even at your mama house. Y'all at y'all worst.
Meanwhile, Diddy can do nothing but wait and see how things unfold for him outside of prison. Inside, however, he seems to be trying to make the most of his circumstances. One former cellmate alleges that Diddy has become a sort of leader inside the MDC. According to Castillo, once the celebrity image faded, he found that Diddy behaved like any other man living inside the Metropolitan Detention Center. He described him as humbled, respectful, and focused on teaching and self-improvement. Castillo says he saw Diddy every day because they lived in the same housing unit. Over time, he says he got to know him as a regular human being. Castillo claims Diddy wasn't someone who walked around trying to talk to everybody, but he was approachable.
Approach them, ask him for any advice or anything like that. He'll answer you 100%, and he was always willing to help, always willing to help. That's one thing I can say about him. I learned and got to love about him. He always gave you 100% of himself. He will set things to the side and make things his priority.
Like helping other inmates, you're saying?
Yes, helping other inmates.
Well, so that's another question. How did other inmates respond to him being there? I mean, was it divided? Was it some people were impressed, some people were starstruck, or, was it kind of like some people were angry?
At first, some people don't want to be groupies. They don't want to act like groupies. So they will try to act like, oh, that's Diddy, but we're not trying to be groupies. But as time went on, you gotta understand, we all grew up analyzing Diddy. Like, he's from New York City. We're from New York. So we grew up hearing and seeing the icon, the legends, like the mogul. So now we're actually living with him. So now we're studying him and idolizing him in person. So, I feel like we all got to recognize with time was that he's human. And he's like one of us. He's one of us.
Castillo says Diddy eventually started a business and leadership class inside the facility, something Castillo claims had never been done in federal prison at that scale. Castillo was listed as the teacher's assistant and interpreter, a role that involved handing out homework, collecting assignments, taking notes, and helping new inmates catch up. But the most surprising part, he said, was who sat in that classroom.
Because you need to understand, this is something that has never been done in prison system ever. Especially in the federal system, it's about segregation. Black sticks with black, white sticks with white, Spanish sticks with Spanish, especially gang members. So Diddy was able to unify everybody, bring us together in one classroom. And we would sit there and listen and teach, and he will teach us these business ventures of his and everything, and sort of come up with our plans and our goals and really set it in order and how to go forward with it. He will always tell us successful people do what unsuccessful people won't do, and about sacrifices.
Wow.
He will show us that the work that he was doing on others was important for us to like follow, not only just follow his footsteps, but put things into our own perspective and things like that. Like I could say in the program he showed all of us how to have faith in ourselves and believe in ourselves.
He says the class focused on business planning, goal setting, discipline, mindset, and staying committed to better choices. Diddy reportedly emphasized that successful people do what unsuccessful people won't do, and often spoke about sacrifice and consistency. However, it's not all rainbows and roses in there. Castillo also described the MDC as extremely dangerous. He says people are really dying inside MDC Brooklyn.
People's really dying in MDC Brooklyn. There's a war in there, there's violence, and there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of lost souls in there. People's hopeless. And you have people that's in there serving life. They have Sean Combs around murderers, people serving 30 years. So when you have things, when you facing those type of things, you have nothing to lose.
Right.
So it's very dangerous in there. It's very, very, very dangerous. I'm one of the lucky ones to say I made it out, because in there you could go in. I've seen brothers go in there and really lose their lives. Especially while Mr. Combs was in there, 2 people has lost their lives.
Right. I do remember reading.
Due to gang violence.
Yeah. Did he have a CO that was kind of near him? More than others, or not really?
Nah, he's a regular inmate just like everybody else.
Wow.
They might watch him. They might watch him just a little more at times, but he's just a regular inmate just like us. He's going through everything we're going through: the cold trays, the lockdowns, the police on the monitor us with the segregations. He is living what we're living. There was no special treatment for Sean Diddy Combs. There's no favoritism for him in there at all.
So, if Diddy was originally expected to receive a pardon, but is now getting busted for drinking wine, making unauthorized phone calls, and even getting attacked in prison, does that suggest the guards and the system in general are no longer trying to protect him? Are they doing this because the internal belief now is that Diddy's sentence will be extended? Let us know in the comments.